Hello and welcome to this R tutorial. So we'll quickly set our folder as working directory, part 3 classification, decision tree classification, and here is the folder. Make sure that you have the social network add CSV file, and you click on this more button here to set the folder as working directory. Then let's quickly take our template, select everything from here to the bottom, copy, and paste it here. All right, and now let's change a few things. So just not to forget, let's change the titles in the plot. So we will replace classifier by decision tree. And here as well. Okay, and now let's create our classifier. So in R, to create a decision tree classifier, we will use, again, the most popular library for that, which is the rpart library. So now just check to see if you have the rpart library in your packages. So for example, mine is right here. It might not be the case for you if you're starting R for the first time. So I'll just write this line of code for those of you who need to install it. And so as usual, it's install packages. And then in quotes, in the parentheses, you input the name of the package, which is then rpart. All right. And then to install the package, you need to select this line and execute. I won't do it right now because my package is already installed, so I'll just put that as comment. And however, we're going to include this line of code here, library, and in parentheses rpart, to automatically select this library, because once this is executed, this will be selected. As you can see right now, it's not selected, but it will be once this is executed. Okay, and now we are ready to create our classifier. So let's do this. Classifier, as usual, equals, and then we're going to use actually a function, which is the same as the library, rpart. So rpart, and in this function, we will input the right parameters. So, well, as you can see right now, we can see what those parameters are. But if we want more info, we can click here and press F1. And here we just need to click here to get some info about rpart. Okay, so as we can see, the first argument is formula. And as usual, we're going to write the formula equals dependent variable tilde dot. So that's the same as usual. And then we have the data argument here, which is, of course, the data on which you want to train your classifier. So this data will be the training set. All right, so let's input the argument. So remember, the first argument was formula equals purchased. That's the dependent variable. Tilde, I just pressed Alt-N, and then a dot to include all the independent variables. Then comma, and then we input the second argument, which remember it was data, and we pick our training set. Perfect. And now let's execute the whole code. So first we execute this preprocessing part here, as usual. Done. Perfect. So we can have a look at the dataset all fine with our two independent variables, age and estimated salary, and our dependent variable purchased. Training set, all good, and test set, all good. Okay, so the training set and the test set are scaled because we will plot the prediction regions with a high resolution, so we need to scale. Actually, you can try to not scale the independent variables here, because for decision tree, you don't need to scale your independent variables because the decision tree model is not based on Euclidean distance. But since we want to plot the prediction regions with a high resolution, you will see that your code will execute a huge time faster than if you don't scale it. Actually, I think that if you don't scale it, your code might break. You can try that, but be careful. So we will do it, but then we will execute the code again without the scaling to plot the tree. So we will clear everything, and in the preprocessing part, select everything except the feature scaling, and then we will plot our tree in a very simple way. But right now we want to plot the prediction regions, so we scale our independent variables. Okay, so perfect. Now the classifier is ready, so let's execute it. All right, all good. Now we can execute this line to predict the test set results. And actually what's funny is that ypred is not the same as what we were used to. First, for example, we can see ypred here. Remember before ypred wasn't in the data here, we had to type it in the console to have a look at it. And here it's here. So let's click on it to find out what it is. All right, this is YPred, and this is actually a matrix of 2 columns and 100 lines. So what is this new YPred? What is it exactly? Well, as you can see, the sum of the 2 cells here in each line is equal to 1. So can you guess what it is? Well, these are probabilities. The first column gives the probability that the observation, the user belongs to class 0, that is, doesn't buy the SUV. And this probability in the second column is the probability that the user buys the SUV. So here, if we look at the first observation, we can see that there is a very high probability that the user buys the SUV. And so that means here that the prediction here is that the user doesn't buy the SUV. And if we look at the test set here and look at the index 0, we can see that indeed in reality, the user didn't buy the SUV and therefore the prediction is correct.